What is up, martial artists and martial arts fans alike? How are y'all doing today? Coming at you with another episode of Martial Mornings. We're your hosts. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Vic, and today we got the 5th episode. It's coming at you. We're going to be going over last week's fights. Very exciting fight card that went down. Going over a little bit of headlines that we got going on at the moment, and also taking a look forward at the upcoming main card, UFC Vegas 24, at the UFC Apex this weekend. Robert Whittaker versus Kelvin Gastelum. So starting off with the most recent news, what we got going on recently is the Conor versus Dustin drama that we got right now going on Twitter, the Twitter war that was.
Right, Conor acting like a middle schooler, tweeting how he feels about it.
Some people saying he is definitely acting a bit immature. Dustin calling out Conor for supposedly not donating $500,000 like he said he would before their fight back in January. And when Conor decided to post his prediction of the trilogy fight on his Instagram, Dustin responded with the fact that he thought it was a nice prediction, but he wanted to say that the prediction of him paying the $500,000 to his foundation was definitely not a prediction that came true. So he kind of just called him out.
So Conor basically didn't keep his word as a man. Dustin called him out for it publicly, and Conor really took offense to it. I've never seen Conor get so riled up
so quickly
due to opponents trash talking, especially not publicly like that. And it caught me by surprise. I'm sure everybody, because you really saw an emotional side off of him. And for him to say that the fight is off, I think that's crossing the line. That's just, like I said, acting like a middle schooler. Like, come on, dude. You signed to fight the dude, and now you're going to pull out just because, he pissed you off a little bit because he called you out publicly on something that you said you were going to do that you didn't follow through on?
Right, it's not a medical reason or anything like that. It's not a case of anything else other than, some personal feud that they decided to have going on right now. Personally, I mean, we're people that have seen Conor for a long time. They've kind of gotten used to a notorious Conor McGregor, a one that isn't afraid to just say whatever is going to get the other person annoyed and riled up, whether, it's saying the nastiest of things. But I think more recently, I think it's shocking. I agree with you that it's shocking to see coming from him, only because he was on such good terms with Dustin before the first fight, and it seemed like it was going to be a different kind of relationship between two rivals. But turns out that the bad blood is definitely still there. It's still boiling, and it ended up getting managers involved. You saw Adi Attar, which is the manager of Conor McGregor. He tweeted at Dustin saying, I got the tweet right here. He said, "Dustin, why you frontin'? Did you forget the face-to-face meeting we just had in Utah with our families, where we stood by you as you tried to get more money from the UFC? Conor is as generous as it gets. Don't dismiss his business savvy. He always gets it done. This is a low move, man." So that was a response from Conor's manager to Dustin,
but really has nothing to do with the donation anyways.
I mean, it really has nothing to do with the donation, but just kind of, it's kind of weird because he's kind of bringing something else up, like saying, damn, we look out for you, but you're going to, trash talk us. But I don't think the manager should have personally stepped in at all, in my opinion. I think that was a mistake, personally. But, it's Conor's manager. Conor's a pretty short-tempered guy, so it's not surprising that his manager would also be a bit short-tempered himself. But, yeah, I mean, Conor afterwards, he unofficially called off the fight, and Dustin ended up replying to Conor's manager with, evidence saying that he was reaching out and he was trying to communicate to Conor's people to get that donation sent through. So just a huge drama, honestly, and adding some more bad blood to the fight. Hopefully it does happen, and the whole calling off of it is just a drama to get
more attention.
Get more attention, some promo on the fight. And why wouldn't you want to fight the guy if he just tried you? You know what I mean?
Right.
So as far as that goes, that's pretty much it with that. But going to last week's card, UFC on ABC, Vettori versus Holland, number 6 versus number 10. Starting from bottom to top, we had Mackenzie Dern versus Nina Nunes. Not Asroff anymore. Nina Nunes now.
She got an amazing sub in the first round. Dominated. Got her classic armbar.
She
looked phenomenal.
She was in great shape.
She did what I expected her to do.
I saw a tweet, and it was a picture of her last fight from 4 months ago, looking across the cage at her. And then this fight, and you can just tell she's a lot more toned
Physically?
up. She was physically in a much better shape than she was in her last fight. And I think that just shows how into it she was this camp and how she was really trying to make that step up in the rankings.
She posted on her Instagram, she was thanking her new strength and conditioning coach.
Right. Yeah, she was in phenomenal shape. I mean, and Nina Nunes coming back from motherhood, a new mother with having a baby with the champ Amanda Nunes, and
Undisputed female GOAT.
Undisputed female GOAT for sure, but unfortunately wasn't able to get the job done against a very in shape, a very determined Mackenzie Dern. So fortunately that didn't go her way. We also had Julian Marquez, the human missile crisis, versus smiling Sam Alvey, and what a crisis it was.
And Alvey wasn't smiling after that, I can tell you.
No, he definitely wasn't. I mean, it was a firefight from start to finish for as long as it lasted. Ended in the second round after a wild first round. About 2 minutes left into the second round, they had a wild exchange. Alvey got hurt, hit the ground. Julian Marquez found his back.
Jumped on
top of him, found a weird bulldog rear naked choke with no hooks in.
Exactly.
And just completely slept Sam Alvey, refused to tap in.
And that's the thing, the fact that he wasn't able to get the hooks in, he was able to get more pull on it.
Yeah, 100%.
And it looked bad. It did look like a zombie.
It got tight very fast, and it definitely was a dangerous choke, and you hate to see guys not be able to tap, and you never want to see that, but just a great performance from both guys. I think they put on a great show for the fans, and Julian Marquez just showing why he should be a contender to look at in the middleweight division. Possibly even the light heavyweight, because he's a big guy, so he can probably bounce around from both weight classes.
And then next we got Brendan Almighty Allen versus Super Sadiq Youssef.
Another technical fight. That was a very technically sound fight.
That one went kind of as expected. I did expect Allen to get the dub, but I didn't expect Sadiq Youssef to come out as slow as he did. But Brendan Allen definitely did show a lot that people definitely weren't expecting. I know people were kind of counting him out, actually, expecting Sadiq Youssef to show out as he usually does. But Brendan Allen showed a smart game plan. He was able to grapple, get him up against the fence. He mixed it up with his striking, and he was actually able to hurt Sadiq Youssef twice in the fight. He looked good. I liked it. He was composed, and I actually really look forward to seeing him perform again.
Yeah, I mean, great work from the clinch in that fight, especially in the first and second round. Sadiq Youssef seemed to turn it on towards the end. I thought he was going to be able to get the job done in this fight and get a finish early on. But like you said, started off a little slow. He kind of is a come forward kind of guy, but didn't come forward as fast as I'm used to seeing him. Unfortunate to see. Hopefully he's able to figure out, go back to the drawing board and get another ranked opponent so that he can stay in the mix at that weight class at 145. So a great co-main event though. Really nice fight.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it as well. So going in, now we got main event.
Kevin Holland.
It was I guess a technical fight.
Yeah, it wasn't, let's say, the most exciting per se, but it was a safe route that Vettori took, definitely, to get the dub.
I mean, something we talked about last week, I thought Vettori was going to be more striking-oriented. I thought he was going to want to put on a show a little bit more, but definitely showing that he's serious now, and he's going for wins, and he's going for dominance, and he's not trying to just show off and get seen. He knows that he's in the top 5 already. He understands that he's in the mix now. So, not being able to fight a guy like Till, was unfortunate for him, because that would have been probably a bigger fight for him, because Kevin Holland's more of a rising guy and Till's kind of been there.
Right.
But I would have to say that he definitely showed out, and he shows improvement every fight. I mean, every fight this guy gets better. He's huge for the weight class. He's big. He grapples. He strikes. I mean, he's kind of pretty good everywhere. He's not extremely good anywhere.
Right.
But he's pretty good everywhere.
That's a perfect explanation.
And he gets better every fight. So little by little, he's just going to end up being really, really good everywhere.
Yeah, he's more or less well-rounded. He doesn't stand out in one specific area. As for Kevin Holland, I do have to say, disappointed in the, obviously, takedown D. He did try to use it. He in the Derek, yeah, exactly. In the Derek Brunson fight, he kind of let it happen. In this one, he at least actually tried defending, got his underhooks, tried sprawling. But you could see the strength on Vettori, and he was able to put his man down regardless.
Yeah.
So what I would like to see from Kevin Holland is maybe a move down in weight.
Yeah, I mean, they've talked about him going down to 170 after his last fight, and he ended up picking up this fight against a big 185-pounder. So I don't know if he was just trying to give himself another reason why he should move down. I don't know if he was just trying to get back on the drawing board quick. That's something we talked about last week. But, I mean, just an unfortunate chain of events for him. Definitely needs to go and work on that takedown defense with DC, the way he talked about Daniel Cormier, the former heavyweight champ and light heavyweight champ. Supposedly said he was going to go and try to reach out to him and get some wrestling training. So hopefully he does do that, because he does have that potential to be really good, and he has the length, he has the striking and all that. So hopefully he's able to come back stronger in the next fight that he gets.
All right. And is that it for the recaps?
Pretty much. I mean, supposedly now it's Till next for Vettori, because he said that he already fought. He was supposed to fight Till. So he basically like, I already beat Till. I beat Till and I beat Holland. So he thinks he's next for the title. I think he has one more fight, definitely, before he gets to that point. Just because he's not even technically in the top 5, because he hasn't faced anyone.
I would like to see him fight to fight Derek Brunson.
Derek Brunson and him?
Yeah, because they're kind of the ones that are making their way next up for the dispute of the title, and they could settle that.
Right. I mean, that's a good fight. Both guys have a history with the champ, Adesanya.
Right.
Both guys took L's from him. Both guys are going to be... they're going to have that beef in there. They're going to have that similar... So, I mean, it's good. And Vettori talked about that. He's serious now. He's the hungriest in the division, and he thinks all the guys he's beaten are top guys, tough guys. And he's not wrong. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in that middleweight division now that Adesanya is going to come back down and defend the title.
Can't wait.
But starting off with this week's card, the reason we're all here, we are going to start
in the featherweight division.
Featherweight division, Bill Aljo, American, 14-5, fighting Ricardo Ramos, Brazilian. Both guys at a -113. And this should be a pretty fun grapplers match. Both guys really good on the ground. Both guys, most of their wins are on the ground. I mean, Aljo, he's a replacement fighter. Long, lanky guy, stands 6 feet tall at the lightweight division. And like I said, most of his wins are by sub, so definitely somebody to watch on the ground. But other than that, not really much else to look at.
Yeah, I agree. But in Bill Aljo, something that did catch my attention is he looked good against Spike Carlisle. Spark Carlisle. Wow, that name is tricky to get. He's very strong guy, and he showed good resistance against him, a good chin, and he actually showed a good gas tank coming on in the later rounds. He was able to get the victory there. He's actually never been knocked out either, and he made his UFC debut last summer against Ricardo Lamas. He lost that one against him in unanimous decision. And then Ricardo Ramos, he actually lost his last bout against Leon Murphy. July last year, he got TKO'd. He did have his moments in the fight, so it wasn't like he got outclassed, but Murphy is an undefeated fighter with 5 first-round knockouts, Ramos being the 6th, so it's not like he just fought, anybody. But Ramos is a smart guy, like you said, grapplers match, it would seem like. If I had to pick somebody, I'm going to ride with Bill Aljo on this one. I can just see him getting it done. He seems to have slightly better striking and the better grappling, I'd say, if I had to pick.
Yeah, I mean, I like that he's never been KO'd or TKO'd, so that's good. And Ricardo Ramos, with his last fight, Ricardo Ramos, now Ricardo Ramos. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, man. I mean, Bill Aljo, he seems like an exciting fighter. I love long, lanky guys, guys that are taller for their division and longer. Guys like a Corey Sandhagen, guys like an Israel Adesanya, those type of guys. They're just fun to watch, man, because they can do things that nobody else in their division can. So, I mean, I'm going to ride with Bill Aljo, too. And I'm going to say that not getting KO'd in his career is going to stick to his advantage. And I think he's going to be more confident in this fight coming in as a replacement fighter. He has nothing to lose. So, I say he gets the dub here, too.
All right, perfect. Next, we got in the lightweight division, Luis Pena, 8-3, coming in at a -148 favorite. And then Alex Munoz, 6-1, coming in at a +120 underdog.
So, this one's an interesting matchup.
Yeah, Luis Pena is actually 4-3 in the UFC. I've noticed he's had a lot of ups and downs. Lately, he's been training with American Top Team. His last fight, he actually got submitted by Kama Worthy, who we just mentioned recently in our last podcast. And then we got Alex Munoz, who was supposed to make his UFC debut against Pena actually last year in February, but he was forced out due to injury. He only has 1 decision loss, 3 first-round finishes, 2 knockouts, 1 sub, and 3 decisions. He's a good wrestler, and he's actually a coach at Team Alpha Male. So the man definitely knows what he's doing. I actually don't know why he's such a, well, not a big underdog, but I don't know why he's an underdog. If I had to pick somebody, I'm going to ride with Alex Munoz on this one.
I mean, I feel like a big reason why he is the underdog is just because experience. I mean, Luis Pena, he's the guy. He's from the Ultimate Fighter. He's been in the UFC a while. He's fought between 45 and 55. So, I mean, this is a guy that he's been in there. And, you know, he's Violent Bob Ross. At the end of the day, he's a long guy. Whether he's at 45 or 55, he's still long. He's lanky. He has an awkward way of striking. And he's pretty dangerous pretty much everywhere, whether it's on the ground or standing up. He finds nice elbow and knee shots in the clinch against the cage. But he's very raw, and he makes mistakes, and that's what separates him from being a really, really good 45 or 55er is that, and also finding his weight class. He's just an awkward guy jumping between both weight classes, because when he goes to 55, some guys are just too big for him, and when he goes to 45, he cuts way too much. So, I mean, I'm going to go with Luis Pena in this one. I think Alex Munoz is definitely a guy to watch. He's a Cali guy, southpaw, teammate of Ricardo Ramos, actually, and actually was on the podcast with Uriah Faber a week before we're recording this. So, pretty fun. He actually lost his last fight, though, his UFC debut against the wannabe Kelvin Gastelum. Nasrat Masa, well, I'm not going to butcher his last name, but you guys know who I'm talking about.
Right.
Got 30-27 in that fight, pretty bad, and, you know, showed durability, showed that he could stay in there with some pretty tough guys, but I'm gonna say that he's gonna have to go through some stuff with Luis Pena here. I mean, this guy he's a really good fighter, and he fights well at his weight, and he's long. So I'm gonna say Pena finds a submission in this fight somewhere in the second.
Nice. I like that you're calling a finish on that one.
So next up we got Abdul Razak Al Hassan. I think I said that right.
Middleweights.
So we got a 185-pound fight here versus Jake Malkoun. We got Abdul Al Hassan at a minus 335 favorite and Jake Malkoun at a plus 245 underdog. So, I mean, this is an interesting fight. Jake Malkoun, we'll just start with him just because there's less to say about him. To be quite honest, he's 4-1, was 4-0 before his last fight. Fought against a guy named Phil Hawes, who has a very similar style to Abdul. He came on strong and quick and ended up finishing the fight in 20 seconds. Ended up knocking down Malkoun and finishing him pretty devastatingly.
So looked bad.
So looked bad, to be quite honest with you. Fighting another knockout artist in Abdul here. I don't honestly see it going too well. I mean, Jake Malkoun, a guy out of Australia, he's a tough guy for sure, it seems, and definitely has that potential. But it's coming off a really devastating KO loss, and that's scary, fighting another guy who's a very strong striker with very heavy hands, but another guy coming off of an L, so.
Only thing I can say for him is he's a longtime training partner of Whitaker. He's really
I mean,
the only good thing.
Probably a big reason why he was on the card.
Mm-hmm.
To be quite honest, I mean, we can be honest about that, and you know, that says a lot. That says a lot to his toughness. But at the end of the day, when you're in that octagon, it's about skill and it's about how tough you really are when it comes down to it. And in this fight, I can definitely see Abdul Al Hassan ending it pretty early. This guy comes on strong. He's got tree trunks for thighs. He's going to probably leg kick him, kick to the body, and find a mean hook once he gets him to the cage.
Yeah, I can see that because Al-Hassan is very aggressive. He's coming in at a big favorite in this fight. I'm sure it's because of Malkoun's last knockout that he took, I should say. But I do have to say that Al-Hassan, he's coming off a 2-fight losing skid. So he's actually trying to make a turnaround on this one. So on this one, I would say it's needed for him.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, he's obviously a favorite for a good reason. And I'm going to ride with him on this one. So I agree with you.
Yeah, so let's see if the pride of Ghana will be able to come back from his losing streak and show why he's a top contender in the middleweight division. But yeah, next up we got the fight before the co-main. We got a heavyweight matchup between Andrei Arlovski, who's stepping in on a late notice. 30-20, old school guy, legend of the game, most definitely at a minus 143 favorite. Coming in on late notice, that's pretty surprising. Fighting a guy, Chase Sherman, American, 15-6. New school versus old school here, I would say. Chase Sherman at a plus 115 dog. So, I mean, Arlovsky's stepping in on late notice, like we said, about 100,000 times at this point. And for his age, I mean, in his last fights, he's losing. We're not going to sugarcoat that. He's definitely at the end of his career. He's 42 years old, but still trains at ATT, still trains very hard with those people over there. You know, it's a lot like, for any basketball fans, a lot like a Udonis Haslem, I would say, is for the Miami Heat. He's just an older guy, has been there, done that, and can kind of be a guy who can train and be in there and really test people in the gym and be that coach that isn't a coach. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he comes into this fight after coming off of a rear naked choke loss in his last fight. But yeah, young guy in Chase Sherman, he's going to come out fast. How do you see this one going?
So Andrei Arlovsky, he's a veteran in the UFC, been there, done that, seen it all. He's had a lot of ups and downs in his career. Like you said, he's coming off that rear naked choke loss against Tom Aspinall. He is 30-20, so he's had a lot of experience. Obviously, like I said, he's the veteran.
And contests as well.
And yeah, and then we got Chase Veteran on the other side, the younger guy. Sherman made his return to the octagon in 2020. He's on a 4-fight win streak. He's shown a lot of improvement over the years. And I would say that Sherman is more of a volume striker. He kind of tries to overwhelm you. And Andrei Arlovsky, he can shell up. He can take it at times. But he does have a good chin. He's durable. He's been knocked out. These guys have actually both been knocked out. So honestly, these are heavyweights, man. This could go any way. We know what happens with heavyweights.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say.
When they decide to throw down.
Exactly what I was going to say. I mean, these guys in the heavyweight division, a lot of them have been TKO'd or knocked out. I mean, it's hard to say what's going to happen in that weight class. But like you said, the Vanilla Gorilla, Chase Sherman, he comes out strong, man. He's a volume striker. He has 5.81 significant strikes landed per minute in his career. So that's just a huge number. And he's definitely loves to get in there and brawl. And like you said, a volume striker. So definitely something to back that up. And something to also note, though, is that he also absorbs a lot of strikes. He absorbs about 5.76 significant strikes per minute. So it's
a good stat.
It's a good stat because it just shows that he can take it and he can give it. And he's still 15-6, so a lot of the times he comes out on top. So that's something to know. But he does take a little bit more shots than you would like to see your fighter take, especially if you're a coach.
It says he has a chin, but yeah, obviously you don't want to be taking that kind of damage.
Absolutely, you don't want to be taking almost 6 significant strikes a minute. So
and that one I got Sherman. I'm gonna ride with him.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the young buck in this one. I'm gonna take Chase Sherman. I think the Vanilla Gorilla comes out strong in this one. Andrei Arlovsky is gonna come in for a check. He's going to grab it. He's going to cash it. He's going to go home with it back to ATT. And Chase Sherman's going to add a legend named Andrei Arlovsky to this list of wins. I think he's going to move on to 16-6 and hopefully get a nice upcoming fight in the heavyweight division. Somebody else that's exciting. And we'll get to see him again soon. But moving on, we got Jakar Close versus Jeremy Stephens. Both Americans. Jakar Close had 11-2, 1 draw. Plus 100 favored in this fight, and Jeremy Stephens surprisingly a minus 125 in this fight. Jeremy Stephens is number 10 featherweight right now in the division, 28-18. Another really, honestly, a UFC legend. A stat that I wanted to note out off the bat. If you don't know who Jeremy Stephens is, this guy is he's the guy that Conor McGregor tried in the press conference. He's the guy who said he would knock Conor McGregor out, that he's the real hardest hitting featherweight. But in reality, this guy is a UFC legend. He's tied with Anderson Silva for second most all-time in knockdowns in UFC history. So that just goes to say how aggressive he is, what a good striker he is, and he just finds ways to finish people. And he's done it for a really long time, and this should be a wild fight. Jakar Closer is another wild guy. He likes to get in there and bang. A lot better of a wrestler than I think he realizes. But he definitely likes to get in there and bang. And he likes to strike. So I think this one's going to start off on the feet for sure. And if it gets to the ground, it's going to be because somebody gets hurt. And somebody just instinctively goes for a takedown. But if that's the case, I see whoever got the other person hurt finishing the fight pretty soon after that.
So yeah, Jakar had the crazy brawl with Dariush.
Yeah, the famous knockout.
One fight of the night. He rocked him, but got overconfident. Got rocked on his own. and ended up getting finished. That was a crazy knockout.
That was insane.
The reaction from the commentators, Rogan, DC, was great.
Most definitely. That was a knockout that a lot of people recognize. You can just put the outlines of those fighters and you'll recognize that knockout instantly if you saw it when it happened. But very crazy fight coming up. This is a good co-main event in my opinion. I see it either being fight of the night and going the distance, or Jeremy Stevens finishing it inside the first round. I'm going to go with the decision. I say it goes to a decision, and it's going to be a split decision for Jakar.
Oh, really? Hey, man, you got to remember, when Jeremy knocks people out, they don't fucking move. And, I mean, he's looking to get his first win since 2018. That's something you got to know. I don't know if you know that. But when you look at it, his losses have been to top-level competition like Zabit, Calvin, Yair, Jose Aldo. So it's not like he's just fighting average-ass people and losing to them.
Yeah, Jose Aldo got a sick body shot.
Close has his plate full on this one. He can't overlook Stevens at all. And on this one, I'm going to ride with Stevens because he has the experience and the power. And, yeah, so I see Stevens riding the win on this one.
I can't disagree with that.
Next up, we got the main event of the evening.
Reason we're all here.
Robert the Reaper Whittaker versus Kelvin Gastelum.
185-pound bout, 5-round main event at UFC Vegas. We got number 1 ranked Robert Whittaker, former middleweight king. Fortunately lost his belt to the current king now.
One of the best strikers in the UFC, Israel Adesanya.
Yeah, so Whittaker coming off a win against Cannonier in a 3-round fight. Looked very, very impressive in that fight. Didn't think he could get any better. Broke his arm with many, many kicks in that fight. That high right kick signature of Robert Whittaker was looking juicy in that fight. Most definitely an exciting one. If you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube. Free fight just got uploaded by the UFC if you want to check that out. But we got Whittaker at a minus 265 favorite going up against Kelvin Gastelum, number 8 in the division.
Yeah, so this fight was supposed to happen before previously, right? 2019, I believe, actually.
Yeah, about 2 years ago. It was an Australia card. It was supposed to be Whittaker versus Gastelum for the belt. And the co-main event was actually Adesanya versus Anderson Silva. So that fight actually got scratched due to a hernia injury Robert Whittaker endured right in fight week. So that fight got scratched.
Kelvin Gastelum was claiming himself the uncrowned champ.
Yeah,
remember that?
Absolutely, which was very distasteful to some meaning me. And honestly, it was unfortunate because it was an Australia card. You had 2 of the biggest Australian, New Zealand, fighters fighting on the same card. You got Anderson Silva on the card. You got a killer in Kelvin Gastelum. It was going to be a really nice card, and unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, Israel Adesanya and Anderson Silva had to get moved up to the main event slot. Still had to be 3 rounds. Unfortunately, it would have been nice to see those guys go 5. Seeing how the fight ended up going, it definitely would have gone 5, I feel. But yeah, I mean, this is the fight of the main event.
If you had asked me back then who would have won that fight, I would have gone with Gastelum. But nowadays, I'm all day on the Whittaker train on this one. He's racked up a lot of consecutive wins. Everyone that so far that Adesanya says he's looking forward to fight, Whittaker steps in there, beats him. So Kelvin Gastelum is actually, I don't want to say making his way back because he hasn't. He recently just lost to Jack Hermanson, heel hook. Really quickly, I was actually really disappointed with how that went. I expected a lot more out of Gastelum. But Gastelum lately really needs to get his flow back because he's not looking too good. And Whittaker doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon. So I can 100% see why Whittaker is such a favorite on this one. So yeah, on this one, easily, I'm going to ride with Whittaker.
Yeah, I mean, Whittaker's a guy, and I feel like he's very confident going into this fight. The reason why I feel that way is because in the press he mentioned, like, when a fighter mentions how good his opponent is, I feel like it's because people know they're going to win. And the popular opinion is that Whittaker's going to win. So he feels like he has to hype up the fight more by saying that Gastelum is a top middleweight, that he's dangerous, that he's this, that he's that, which not saying that he's not at all. Kelvin Gastelum definitely is one of the more dangerous middleweights in the division, potentially, not consistently, which is the problem. And that's why he's, he hovers around 5 and 10 and 15 in the rankings, because he just can't get that big win, that Chris Weidman win, that Jack Hermanson win, that Darren Till win. You know what I mean? Those big wins that really could push him forward, those are the wins that he doesn't really make it happen for. So there's a chance for him to actually turn the tide. It's a chance for him to change that. Former champ in Adesanya and Whitaker. And I feel like in his last fight, he also not in his last fight was Jack Hermanson, but he also fought Ian Heinisch not too long ago, who was number 15 at the time and got tested on the ground early. He was a young guy, strong guy, and showed that he could still hold his own in that weight class, even though he is one of the smaller middleweights. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think Gastelum's also really tricky in the clinch game. So both these guys are really skilled. Both these guys know how to fight. I think Robert Whitaker does have quite a bit more skill. He might even have the wrestling advantage in this one. You know, he is a national champion wrestler in Australia, so it's going to be interesting to see. And I think Rob Whitaker is going to find a way to pick apart Kelvin Gastelum. I think Kelvin Gastelum is going to try his best. He might even hurt Whitaker because he just has that potential in his hands. So I can see this one being a really epic fight, but ultimately Robert Whitaker does get the win in this one, in my opinion. I could see it going decision because Kelvin Gastelum does have the durability and the gas tank to make it, but I think Whitaker gets it done inside 3 rounds. I'm gonna say early 3rd round he finds a nice head kick or a really nice right hand to the jaw and TKOs Kelvin Gastelum in the first couple minutes of that round.
Yeah, I think Roberts looked damn good recently, and he's gonna end up making his way back to the title shot, I believe. And I honestly believe we're gonna see a rematch with him and Izzy. So
which should be very exciting.
Yeah, like you said, Gastelum has a durability factor, and if I would have to call this one, I would go to decision. So it's my final prediction. It's gonna be an
exciting one though, and I'm really excited to see how it goes. But yeah, that's gonna be it from us this week. Martial Mornings, episode 5. Thank you anybody and everybody that is listening. Please show all the support. We appreciate all the support that has been shown so far. There's going to be more coming next week.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Comment, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff.
You guys have a great rest of your week, and we're out of here.
Catch you next time. Peace.